Bonjour, French 2 students. This is your teaching video for Lesson 19A, pages 276 to 279 in your textbook. S'il vous plaît, ouvrez vos livres à la page 276. Leçon 19, un choix difficile. Dans un mois, Delphine va aller au mariage de sa cousine. Elle va acheter une nouvelle robe pour cette occasion. Pour cela, elle va dans un magasin de vêtements avec sa copine Véronique. Il y a beaucoup de jolies robes dans ce magasin. Delphine hésite entre une robe jaune et une robe rouge. Quelle robe est-ce que Delphine va choisir? Ah là là, le choix n'est pas facile. Scène 1. Alors, quelle robe est-ce que tu choisis? Ou bien, finalement, j'ai choisi la robe rouge. Elle est plus jolie que la robe jaune. C'est vrai, elle est plus jolie, mais la robe jaune est moins chère et elle est plus grande. Regarde, la robe rouge est trop petite pour toi. Mais non, elle n'est pas trop petite. Bon, écoute, essaie-la. Scène 2. Delphine sort de la cabine d'essayage. C'est vrai, la robe rouge est plus petite, mais ce n'est pas un problème. Pourquoi? Parce que j'ai un mois pour maigrir. Et si tu grossis, toi, tais-toi. Oops, sorry about that. So, kind of working through the translation. A difficult choice. In a month, Delphine is going to go to her cousin's marriage. She is going to buy a new dress for this occasion. For that, she is going in a clothing store with her friend Veronique. There are a lot of beautiful or pretty dresses in this store. Delphine is hesitating between a yellow dress and a red dress. Which dress is Delphine going to choose? Oh my, the choice is not easy. Scene 1. So, which dress are you going to choose? Well, finally, I'm choosing the red dress. It is prettier than the yellow dress. It's true, it is prettier, but the yellow dress is less expensive and it is larger. Look. The red dress is too small for you. But no, it is not too small. Good. Listen. Try it. Scene 2. Delphine comes out of the fitting room. It's true, the red dress is smaller, but it's not a problem. Why? Because I have a month to lose weight. And if you gain weight, you be quiet. The note culturelle, les jeunes et la mode. Les gens français aiment être à la mode. Ils dépensent 30% de leur budget pour les vêtements. Parce que ce budget est limité, ils font très attention quand ils choisissent leurs vêtements. Heureusement, il y a des boutiques spécialisées dans la mode des jeunes, comme Zara, Mango et Etam, où les vêtements ne sont pas trop chers. Certains gens préfèrent la mode rétro. Ils achètent leurs vêtements au marché aux puces. So, French young people and fashion. French young people like to be in fashion. They spend 30% of their budget on clothes. Because this budget is limited, they pay a lot of attention when they choose their clothes. Fortunately, there are specialty shops in young person fashion, like Zara, Mango, and Etam, where the clothes are not too expensive. Certain young people prefer retro style. They buy their clothes at a flea market. So we're going to learn a new verb today, or new type of verb. But before we do that, we want to review regular ER verbs. Now, these are verbs you learned way back in French 1A. So remember, regular ER verbs, we're always going to start with our infinitive take off our ER, which gives us our stem, and to the stem we add depending upon the subject. If the subject of our sentence is je, we add an E. When the subject of our sentence is tu, we add an ES. When the subject of our sentence is il or elle, we add an E. When the subject of our sentence is nu, we add ONS. When the subject of our sentence is vous, we add an EZ. And for il and elle pluriel, we add an ENT. Now remember, for this nu GER verb, we add an EONS. So if we take a look at an example like nager, to swim, right? So again, our stem is the NAG, so that's going to be in all of our forms. So it's je nage, tu nage with that ES, il or elle nage, nu, and this is a GER, so it's NAGEONS, nageons, vous nagez, and il and elle nage. Okay, so you've learned that before. Just a quick review about our regular ER verbs. Now remember, what we liked about regular ER verbs is that we didn't have to memorize a whole bunch of different verbs. We just have to remember and memorize this pattern that we've just talked about here, and we can conjugate any regular ER verb. Today we're going to talk about a new category of regular verbs. And again, regular means that it's going to follow a pattern. So these are nice because we don't have to memorize a bunch of different verbs. We just have to learn the pattern and apply that pattern to other regular IR verbs. We're starting the same way, so we're going to start with our infinitive and take off the IR to give us the stem. And then to that stem we add depending upon what the subject of the sentence is. For je, we're going to add an IS. For tu, we're going to add an IS. For il or elle, we're going to add an IT. For nu, we're going to add ISSONS. For vous, we're going to add ISSEZ. And for il and elle pluriel, we're going to add ISSENT. So this is that pattern. As long as we can follow this pattern, we can conjugate any kind of IR verb. So let's take a look at two examples. Let's look at maigrir first. This was mentioned in our reading. Maigrir means to lose weight or get thin. So again, here's my stem, right? Because it's my infinitive, which is what maigrir is, minus my IR. And so that's going to be in all 6 forms of this verb. So here's my stem, and I add an IS. Here's my stem again, and I add an IS again. Here's my stem, and I add an IT this time. For nu, here's our stem, and I add an ISSONS. For vous, my stem, I add an ISSEZ. And for il and elle pluriel, here's my stem, and I add an ISSENT. Now, pronouncing these, it's a little bit different. So it's maigrir, je maigris, tu maigris, il maigrit. Those all sound the same because remember, the only thing that's changing is the last letter. And typically in French, we don't pronounce our last letters. So we have maigrir, je maigris, tu maigris, il maigrit, nous maigrissons, vous maigrissez, ils maigrissent. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Maigrir. Je maigris. Tu maigris. Elle maigrit. Nous maigrissons. Vous maigrissez. Elles maigrissent. So let's take a look at réussir. Réussir means to succeed. If we put un examen behind it, it means to pass. Now, our stem here is the R-E-U-S-S. So for je, it's our stem, and then an I-S. For tu, it's our stem, and an I-S. For illégal, it's our stem, and an I-T. So quite a few S's here because there are S's in the stem. It's going to get even more crazy with S's as we move into the plurals. So here's our stem. I add I-S-S-O-N-S. Here's our stem. I-S-S-E-Z. And here's our stem. And here's our ending. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez réussir. Je réussis. Tu réussis. Il réussit. Nous réussissons. Vous réussissez. Ils réussissent. So you do have to be careful when you have verbs that have S's as part of the stem, because there starts to be a lot of S's in these verb forms. So just kind of a general caution to be careful when you have S's as part of your stem. So taking a look at this the way it's presented in your book on page 278, we have les verbes réguliers en IR. Many French verbs end in IR. Most of these verbs are conjugated like finir, to finish. Note the forms of the verb in the present tense, paying special attention to the endings. So again, they're doing the same thing here, right? To get the stem, they took the infinitive, took off the IR. Okay, so that's our stem that's in all of our forms, and then here are the endings we add. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez finir. Je finis. Tu finis. Il finit. Nous finissons. Vous finissez. Ils finissent. Now notice there are some things in common between IR and ER verbs, right? Ending in an S in the to form, and the ONS, the EZ, and the ENT in the plural forms. All right, we're going to do those sentences now. S'il vous plaît, répétez finir. Je finis à 2 heures. Tu finis à 1 heure. Elle finit à 5 heures. Nous finissons à midi. Vous finissez à 1 heure. Elles finissent à minuit. Working through those translations, I finish at 2 o'clock. You finish at 1 o'clock. He or she finishes at 5 o'clock. We finish at noon. You finish at 1 o'clock. They finish at midnight. So, exercice 1, le marathon de Paris. Not all runners finish the Paris Marathon. Say who does and who does not. So you see our example prompt is Philippe and non. So because it's a no, we want to say that he didn't finish. So it's Philippe ne finit pas. So we're using the correct form of the verb finir every single time. Right? So finir is going to be je finis. Tu finis. Il or elle finit. nous finissons, vous finissez, and il and elle pluriel finissent. And then remember, if these are negative, we put our ne and our pas around our verb. So if these are negative, our ne and our pas go around our verb. So again, what I'd like you to do is say these out loud and then listen for the confirmation. So numéro 1, moi. Je finis. 2, toi. Tu ne finis pas. Toi, nous. Nous finissons. 4, vous. Vous ne finissez pas. Numéro 5, Eric. Eric finit. Numéro 6, Stephanie. Stephanie ne finit pas. Numéro 7, Frédéric et Marc. Frédéric et Marc ne finissent pas. Et 8, Anne et Cécile. Anne et Cécile finissent. So, vocabulaire, verbe régulier en IR. S'il vous plaît, répétez choisir, choisir, finir, finir, grossir, grossir, maigrir, maigrir, réussir, réussir, réussir à un examen. Réussir à un examen. So you'll want to be careful because choisir, right, has an S in its stem. Grossir has an S in its stem. Réussir has 2 S's in its stem, as does grossir. So you need to be careful with these when you conjugate them. All right, we're going to do the sentences. So s'il vous plaît, répétez. Quelle veste choisis-tu? Les classes finissent à midi. Marc grossit parce qu'il mange beaucoup. Je maigris parce que je mange peu. Tu vas réussir parce que tu travailles. Nous réussissons à nos examens. So working through the translation of those and what they mean, which jacket are you going to choose? The classes finish at noon. Mark gains weight because he eats a lot. I lose weight because I eat little. You are going to succeed because you work. We pass our tests. So these are the IR verbs that you need to be familiar with. So let's take a look at exercice 2, le régime. Read about the following people. Say if they are gaining or losing weight. So our example, Philippe mange beaucoup de pizza. Well, if he eats a lot of pizza, he's not gaining, or he's gaining weight and he's not losing weight. So notice we're doing 2 sentences, okay? One with grossir, which means to gain weight. And one with maigrir, which means to lose weight. Which means one is going to be affirmative and one's going to be negative every time. So our example is il grossit, il ne maigrit pas. So again, I'd like you to do this one out loud, okay? and say the two sentences, and then you can listen to see if you've done it correctly when you hear me. So, numéro 1. Vous faites des exercices. Vous maigrissez. Vous ne grossissez pas. The order that you say them doesn't matter. Numéro 2. Nous allons souvent au gymnase. Nous maigrissons. Nous ne grossissons pas. Numéro 3. Vous êtes inactif. Vous grossissez. Vous ne maigrissez pas. Numéro 4. Je mange des carottes. Je maigris. Je ne grossis pas. Numéro 5. Monsieur Moreau adore la bonne cuisine. Monsieur Moreau grossit. Il ne maigrit pas. 6. Vous n'êtes pas très sportif. Vous grossissez. Vous ne maigrissez pas. Numéro 6. Ces personnes mangent trop. Ces personnes grossissent. Elles ne maigrissent pas. Et numéro 8. Je nage, je joue au volley et je fais des promenades. Je maigris, je ne grossis pas. So your homework, page 26 or page 278, exercise 2. So exercise 2 is the one we just did out loud, right? So each time you're going to write 2 sentences for every answer. One will be affirmative and one will be negative. So number 1, vous faites des exercices. Remember, you're going to use the same subject in your sentence as the subject of the sentence in the book. So, vous faites des exercices. If you exercise, then it's vous maigrissez. Here's my stem, and I add my ISSEZ. And then it'll be vous ne. Here's my stem, and I add my ISSEZ. Pa. So you're going to write sentences like that for the 8 of them. Au revoir. À demain.